Does the name Carl Azuz ring a bell? If your school teachers ever showed CNN 10 in your classroom, you'll probably recognize Azuz as the energetic and pun-filled anchor that shared 10 minutes of news each morning geared towards student audiences. I had the wonderful opportunity to sit down with Azuz and hear 10 minutes of his thoughts on media bias and to hear about his new show, The World from A to Z, premiering this school year.
My name is Carl Azuz. The last name you say like you're sneezing. Azuz, God bless you. I am a 15-year on-air veteran of CNN, hosting a show called CNN Student News and CNN 10. I was a writer and associate producer and package producer before I was even on that show. So I had a few years of journalistic experience under my belt. And since then, I left CNN last fall. That's the fall of 2022. And in weeks from now, the fall semester of 2023, I'm launching a new show called The World from A to Z with Carl Azuz. And it will be strictly non-biased, strictly non-partisan news designed for public high school classrooms. And I will be doing some of the writing, producing, and hosting that.
Yeah, and I mentioned this earlier, but to me, I think you're probably the first Gen Z newscaster. For a lot of us, you're the first anchor that we watched every morning.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Did you feel the responsibility of educating young people and giving the news to students every day? What was that like?
But once I was able to start bringing my own brand of energy and enthusiasm to the news, I was more focused on just explaining what's going on to an audience that might not watch the news every day. And that's what I continue to do. That's what I'm going to be doing this fall. So that's really my focus. I mean, I love the fact that maybe for many folks in Gen Z, I'm the first, newscaster they're familiar with. I think that that's an unexpected blessing of the work I've done, the work I'm aiming to do. But no, I didn't, it wasn't something that I planned. I love that it happened. As far as a responsibility goes, I mean, I certainly hope that when you watch my show, especially as someone in Gen Z, you're seeing something that is truly what I aim for it to be, which is unbiased, that's truly nonpartisan, that's giving you an objective overview of what's happening around the world. And, as I said, I don't assume you're watching the news every day. I know that because as a student, I didn't. So if you're getting, what I will be doing 9 minutes a day, a 9-minute show, if that's all you're getting, I hope it'll give you at least a sense of the major themes and a lot of the fun stuff happening around the world.
Yeah. Was it ever hard to stay unbiased, especially as the political climate heated up?
Yeah.
I remember watching your show when I was in 8th grade. That was smack in the middle of 2016. So did it get harder over time, and how did you stay dedicated to that mission of being unbiased and nonpartisan?
It did, and I aimed to, is the super short answer. These are not how things have been in America. What we see today, these divisions, I'm not saying it's never happened before. My cousin informed me that, during the Vietnam War, the country was extremely divided. And so we're seeing that today. We're seeing political divisions, ideological divisions, divisions about what folks think the country should be or where it should go. And so as the media in general, and I'm not pointing the finger at any one network, but as the media in general became more firmly entrenched in their camps, like they're on the left or they're on the right, they're writing news through blue or red tinted glasses, it did become more difficult for me to glean just straight facts. And so often what we see in these news reports are, they're tainted by folks' political leanings. Like they're either trying to support the candidate they voted for or oppose the party they didn't vote for or whatever it is. And yet what you're not getting is objectivity. What you're not getting is both sides of the coin. I don't think journalism is a particularly hard profession, but I think there are fewer and fewer people doing it because so often folks are advocating. They're trying to get you to feel one way or another about a specific issue. And so they're stacking the side they're on. They might be facts, but you're missing perspective from another side. And I think because of that, so many Americans are missing understanding. So yeah, those divisions, as they deepened, made my job harder because I just needed to glean the facts before I could get into what folks were saying about it. But that said, we got so much good feedback from people who are like, we're so grateful your show is keeping this down the middle. We're so grateful that, we see this as being one of the more objective elements in the media. And so because of that, it was very inspiring for me to stay the course.
Yeah. And recently, there's been a fight between politicians, parents, and teachers over what students should be learning in the classroom. Why do you think it's important for students to have exposure to politics through news and unbiased opinion or unbiased reporting?
Well, I mean, for one thing, the politics that you see and hear about, especially, even the fights you hear about in Washington, they can eventually affect us. And in state governments and that sort of thing, those can have effects in schools. And so, for me, I'm not trying to take a side on it. I'm not trying to tell you what I think of what the issue is. But I think the best way we can foster understanding so that you can have a conversation about it, even with somebody, let's say, especially with someone you disagree with, is to understand what the multiple perspectives are without me judging them. So my goal would be, and my goal going forward, is to have a program that emphasizes critical thinking. If you hear something in the media, even if it's from me, question it, look it up, find it out, see what you think. But I also hope that you're hearing the major schools of thought about what's happening so that you can sit in the classroom, you could sit down with your friends on campus, you could sit with your parents, and maybe you'll have a deep disagreement, but it can be a civil one. It can be, a compassionate one, to where maybe you walk away from that conversation saying, I'm never going to see eye to eye with you on this, but I get why you're thinking the way you are. I think that perspective used to be more prevalent in America. Now you have the two sides that are so dug in. Some people don't even know what's going on. They're just asking what their political side says and then staking, a claim in that. And to me, like, I don't think that's helping anything. I like, if I talk about the good old days, what I mean is, compromise and folks being able to have these discussions, even disagreeing or having heated disagreements, but still loving each other at the end of the day. That's the ideal.
Yeah, definitely. And your new show, The World from A to Z, is coming up this fall. What should people expect, whether teachers or students tuning in?
Yes, me. I'm looking forward to being back on the air. Can't wait. I've missed like making people groan across the country and the world with puns. It will be online. It will be free. It'll be something where you just go to a website and click play. And we say this fall, but we're just weeks away at this point. And so I'm looking forward to being back on air. I'm looking forward to providing that strictly objective news that folks expect. And I might even say that on air. I mean, I have a lot of freedom with the show. I don't need to compromise on anything. So if I come back on camera, for instance, and I say, now look, I'm not trying to tell you what to think here. I'm just giving you the major schools of thought. I have the freedom to do that. I have the freedom to kind of go out of my way to explain these topics to people in a way that says, yo, I'm not judging them. I'm just telling you what they are, so that, I think the moment you take a side, a lot of people do that. A lot of people think it's important that they do that to try to affect change that they believe in. And that's fine if they're into that sort of advocacy. But I'm not. I just want folks watching. I don't care where you're from, how you vote, how your parents voted, how much money you make, where you want to go, where you don't want to go. I want you watching and trusting my show. And so to that end, I'm going to do everything I can not to judge different perspectives, but to bring them to you so that you can trust them and get that out of it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of teachers will appreciate that. If parents come to them and say, what are you showing in the classroom? As many parents can and probably should do. I would hope they would say, watch this. It's 9 minutes and tell us what you think. And I'm hoping that those parents will come back and be like, I'm fine with this. Yeah. That's something that, a big hope. And then, of course, I want it to be as entertaining as the news will allow. Yes, we're going to have some pun and games because that's me. And it's a fun way to have wordplay and to tinker around with some of the more lighthearted things you see in the news, but in a way that's generally pun offensive. And so those are my goals for the new show.
Nice. Can we get a sneak peek on one of the puns?
No. No, of course. I just like
no
saying
spoilers.
That. Whenever anybody asks me anything, I'm just absolutely not. I have no idea what to I think that, right now, we're working at a dog story out of Canada where some dogs are being relocated because they're in an area that's so remote you need a plane to get to it. And so some of these dogs are strays and they haven't been spayed or neutered. And so there's some organizations that are literally, putting them in doggy crates and flying them to an area where they're getting better veterinary care and where the animals are possibly being rehomed. And so certainly to that end, we'll have some puns where, you can't terrier where there's no health carrier. We'll have some puns along, we'll be barked tomorrow, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And generally it'll be a doggone ripe opportunity for us to drop some puns that make you howl.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much again for all of your insight and all of your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for taking the time and for your good research on the front end that made for a good interview.